motherfucking trailer!
Well. Somebody once told me, if you do a Godzilla stream, they will come. Apparently they were right. What's going on, guys? Happy Thanksgiving. Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. I hope you guys are all stuffed. And oh yeah, I'm getting it trimmed tomorrow though, so we'll see how it looks. All right, we got Twitter here. Excuse me, not Twitter, Twitch. So hello, Twitch. Hello, everybody in chat. All right, special stream today. Had no plans on doing a stream tonight at all, as you guys know. But with the news that came out yesterday, I said, all right, we got to talk about this because I won't be able to do it on Friday. Saturday, we probably won't be able to talk about it, and I won't be back till next Tuesday after Saturday. So you guys know the deal. Let's discuss this. All right. Don't know if we're going to do a full 2 hours tonight, but it can happen. Depends where the conversation goes. We'll get started in a few minutes. I just want to give a couple of minutes for people to roll in, because usually when I do a Godzilla stream, people tend to roll in. People tend to show up for these. So, and I get it. You know, I haven't done a one in a long time. I know Godzilla videos have been very scarce because really there really hasn't been much to talk about, as many of you know. But this is a big deal tonight, so I want to make sure before I start, I know some people roll in late. I don't want people to miss the conversation, and I don't want people to miss the opportunity to get involved. And we'll discuss this whole thing about Godzilla vs. Kong going to stream. But first of all, like I said, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I hope you guys had a lot of good food. We had quite a spread in my house. We had turkey, we had ham, we had green bean casserole, mashed potatoes, sweet potato. I don't know what to call it. It's usually yams, but my mother made it with sweet potatoes and the marshmallows on top. And then we had macaroni and cheese. We didn't have stuffing this year. That was too much. We couldn't do the stuffing. We had too many sides. There's a lot of leftovers. Everybody's been picking all day. It's been quite a good Thanksgiving. It's been really good. So all right, so we're at 70. Well, when we get to about 80, you know, then we'll get started. So we'll give some people more time to roll in. Now listen, I'm happy a lot of you guys are here, especially those that don't normally show up for the stream. I appreciate it. However, I need a big favor from many of you. Remember, I wasn't supposed to stream today. Today was just going to be a regular relaxation, eat some food, vegetate. So I would appreciate it if you guys show me some love, and let's get those likes up, okay? Let's at least get it half of what we have right now in chat. So if we can get it up to 40, I'd be very happy. I'd really appreciate that. So thumbs up the video. All right, there we go. We got up to 35. That's good. All right. We are a little over 80 between Twitch and YouTube, so we're gonna get started. All right, so you guys all know the deal. The latest news is that Godzilla vs. Kong looks like Warner Brothers is shopping the idea of Godzilla vs. Kong going to a streaming service. Netflix offered $200 million to put the movie on their service, but Warner Brothers basically said,
"Go fuck yourself."
So, you know, they want to bring it to HBO. Looks like that's where they want to take most of their movies, because we all know that's where Wonder Woman's going to be in a little bit less than a month from now. But the movie is still going to be in theaters. It's still going to be in theaters. From what I understand, it's going to be the same deal as Wonder Woman. You can do it, watch it however way you want. If you're living in an area where your theaters are open and you have an opportunity to go to the theater, you can go to the theater. If not, if you're living in a state or in a city or whatever where the theaters are not open, you have the streaming service. It's likely going to be HBO Max. That's where Godzilla King of the Monsters is. That's where a lot of Godzilla movies are right now. You know, I don't know if they're still up there, but many of the Showa films are on HBO Max. So that's where the home's going to be. Now, I find this interesting because the movie comes out in May. And by then, right now as it stands, despite what the media is telling you, coronavirus, while the numbers are spiking in certain areas, the overall ratio of spike to death is extraordinarily lower than it was earlier this year when this thing first hit. There's also a vaccine on the way. There's now 3 vaccines coming. And they're looking to start distribution the second week of December. Obviously, the priorities are going to be the elderly. I would imagine by May of next year, a good portion of the country should be vaccinated. We're looking at least 2 of these vaccinations that are 95% successful. So I do find it interesting that Warner Brothers didn't wait this out, because I have a feeling by May, I personally think things are going to go back to normal a lot sooner. But I think by May, once people are regularly getting vaccinated, we should be back to normal. I don't see what the rush here. The only thing I can think of is that Warner Brothers wants to release it sooner, perhaps, and that's on streaming. So, you know, like, for example, we're getting Wonder Woman next month in December. My thought is they probably want to release the movie earlier. They probably want to release it within the first 2 months of 2021. That's that's just a theory. That's a speculation. It just, when you think about what's going on with the COVID right now, when you think about the vaccination, the timing, how quickly they got the vaccination, you can only imagine they're going to quickly rush it out for people to get it. I can't imagine wanting to push this movie to a streaming service when it's slated for May, unless you were thinking about moving the movie up. That's the only thing I can think of. So don't be surprised if when you finally hear a confirmation that it's going to HBO Max, and it will go to HBO Max. I mean, they're obviously taking offers. If they rejected Netflix, then Sayaka's here. Let's see what he has to say about this.
I am Sayaka tipped $1. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone out there, and that includes the non-believers, but that's okay. It's 2020, so nobody is perfect. Spoilers, big ones. There is a 50-50 chance GVK will premiere in theaters only. Kansas boom.
All right. This is why I think they rejected Netflix's offer. I think if this doesn't happen to Wonder Woman, then it probably won't happen. It definitely won't happen to Godzilla vs. Kong. We know Wonder Woman's coming. My question is, has there been any confirmation? Because I haven't seen any yet. Has there been any confirmation that you won't have to pay to see Wonder Woman, even if you're already paying for HBO Max? Kind of like what Disney Plus did with with like Mulan. Like, they released Mulan, you had to pay, or they released, I think, 2 movies on their platform that you had to pay to watch, and then 3 months later it was free. So I have a feeling they're going to do the same thing. It wouldn't surprise me if we're going to have to pay to watch Wonder Woman in December. And so it's going to be free on HBO. Is that confirmed? Did we get confirmation of that from HBO and Warner Brothers? Childish? Well, but remember, just because you're paying for HBO Max doesn't mean that you won't have a chance of having to pay to watch that particular movie. Because that's what Disney Plus did. Even though you pay for Disney Plus, you still had to pay to watch Mulan until 3 months later, and then it was free. All right, so it's been confirmed. Okay, so if Wonder Woman is free, it's going to be free on there for 1 month. Wait a minute, what? It's going to be free for 1 month, so what happens after a month? They're going to charge people? All right. So anyway, if it's going to be free, then I'm trying to think. I don't think it's going to come out in December. I saw somebody in chat say they think they're going to move it up to December. I don't think so. Why would you want to move one of your releases up to compete not only in the theaters, however limited it may be, but also on the streaming service? Now, we also know that the Snyder Cut's coming out next year. So I'm wondering if the Snyder Cut was slated to come out around the same time as Godzilla, only obviously Snyder Cut's coming to HBO Max. Godzilla originally was slated for the theaters. So I'm thinking Wonder Woman in December, somewhere between January and March, we're going to get Godzilla versus Kong, and then sometime after that, we're going to get the Snyder Cut. I think they want to space those three out. That's my guess. So don't be surprised if you see an earlier release for Godzilla in theaters simply because it's releasing on HBO Max. Now, this shouldn't come as a surprise to anybody. We've all been speculating this for a long time, especially after the last delay. And with all the movies that were being juggled around and all the other movies dropping on streaming service. So I would say within probably sometime next week, we'll get a confirmation that it's going to go to HBO Max. I think once there's a confirmation that the movie's coming to HBO Max, that's when we're going to get a trailer. I think the reason we still haven't gotten a trailer is because, like I said in one of my videos like 2 months ago, I think the reason you don't see a trailer is because they don't know what to do with this movie. They don't know what to do with it. They don't know what to release it. They don't know if they should go to streaming service. They don't know if they should delay it again. They simply don't know. And I think they finally came to a decision. And now I think they obviously have a very good business relationship with HBO Max. So I think right now it's not a matter of should we put it there. I think it's a matter of when should we release it on HBO Max. We don't want to release it in December to compete with Wonder Woman, although from a streaming service perspective, people can just binge them back to back, and they would likely do that. But I think they're kind of thinking about it in those terms because still, technically, the movies are going to be in the theaters. So no matter what kind of audience you have going to the theaters to see these two movies, you don't want them to compete with each other. So this is why I think they're trying to figure out exactly where to put it. Maybe they're not 100% sure when the Snyder Cut's going to be done and ready to go. But I really do think they want to space it out. I think they want to do Wonder Woman in December. Sometime a month and a half, 2 months after that, they want to do Godzilla vs. Kong. And then whenever the Snyder Cut is ready, you drop it. Then you have 3 very solid movies that a lot of people are excited for, especially when it comes to Wonder Woman and the Snyder Cut. Obviously, Godzilla vs. Kong, just mainly as kaiju fans. But you have 3 big movies coming to HBO Max. You got them spread apart. What this does is this extends the chance that people subscribe to HBO Max and don't cancel their subscription after watching the movie they want. You know what I mean? They'll see Wonder Woman. They'll say, oh man, Godzilla's coming like a month and a half from now. I'll just wait till that. And then right before Godzilla versus Kong drops, they announce the Snyder Cut coming another 2 months later. I think that's kind of how they're mapping this. That's my guess. That's my most educated guess. I think it makes the most sense. So I think next week, by the end of next week, you're going to hear a confirmation that this movie's going to drop on HBO Max. I think we're going to see it sooner. I'd be surprised if it's later than May, but we'll see. So now, again, I still think it's a little puzzling, but I think some movie companies are starting to expect that even with a vaccine, even with things looking up in terms of, despite what the media says, because, remember, they're trying to make money, so they're always going to make it sound like doom and gloom. It's not doom and gloom. But I think movie companies are beginning to realize that people have been out of the theaters for so long, they're starting to see the benefits of watching movies at home. And let's face it, yes, there are hardcore moviegoers that want that movie experience. But most people, if they can save an extra $20, $30 and watch the movie at home, they're willing to sacrifice that experience. So I think theaters, at least for the time being, are starting to realize that for the foreseeable future, people are not going to run to the theaters anymore. And these movies that they've made, a lot of them have big budgets. They have to try and salvage some sort of, even if it's not a profit, try to break even. I mean, if they had given Netflix if they had taken that deal, let's say $200 million, right? So let's see if there's any information on what the budget was for Godzilla versus Kong. Usually it's not this soon. Yeah, there's really no budget. But let's assume the budget for Godzilla versus Kong was $200 million, right? So they haven't done any marketing for the movie. This is another reason why I think they haven't been pushing the movies, because they've been trying to decide. Marketing costs a lot of money. So if they had taken the deal with Netflix, right? They get basically their investment in making the movie back. Right? So they don't lose anything. They don't gain, but they don't lose. And this is another reason why I think we haven't seen shit regarding this movie, because they already took losses from the last movie. I think the MonsterVerse is on thin ice, to be honest. Whether or not this will spell the end. Now, I already thought, many of you know, I already thought this was the end of the MonsterVerse regardless, because how do you go after Godzilla versus Kong? This is supposed to be the big deal, right? So how do you top that? He already fought one of his greatest villains from Japan, all right? And now he's facing one of the most other iconic monsters in cinema. So where do you go after that? You know, I know where a lot of you guys would say, many of you would say, oh, you could do this, you can do Destroyer, you can do this one. As kaiju fans, yes, we can keep going forever. But in terms of general audience appeal, there's nowhere else to go after Godzilla vs. Kong. There really isn't. So even without COVID, even without all this going on, even if Godzilla King of the Monsters made bank, I still don't think they would have gone beyond this movie, in my personal opinion. That doesn't mean the end of the MonsterVerse per se. They seem to still have a lot of plans in place for more lore-driven content in the form of comics. We've spoken about the possibility of maybe another animation or another show of some sort regarding, whether it be, Godzilla related or more focused on Monarch. We are getting an animation, but that has nothing to do with the MonsterVerse. So if nothing else, we're still getting Godzilla content. Whether or not we see Toho do movies now, man, that's a big question now, because they've lost a lot of money. Their last quarter, they did make profit, which is good. But prior to that, they had lost a lot of money. So we're unsure as to whether or not Toho is going to be doing any more Godzilla movies anytime soon. Maybe they have to push their plans back before they start making big investments again. So there's a lot up in the air. So we'll have to see what happens. But I don't think this is a bad thing. This is probably something they should have done sooner. I think it's jumping the gun a little bit. I really do think May would have been perfectly fine to release the movie, and they probably would have had a decent sized audience. Hell, they might have had the benefit of being one of the few movies to be ready to release during that time, around the time people are ready to go back to movies. They might have benefited from the idea that people just want to go to the movies and would be willing to sit through this, even if they're not a Godzilla fan. So I think it's a safe bet. Keeping the release date in May and strictly theaters, I think it is a gamble. It's a high risk, but the reward is very high. Because if people do end up going back to the theaters and you're one of the few movies out around that time, you could benefit from that financially in a great way. However, if that's not the case, now you don't have a streaming deal, you don't get any money from the streaming company, and you're releasing a movie and it's going to fail. We saw that with Tenet. Tenet, probably not a bad movie. Most of Nolan's films are not bad. I'm looking forward to seeing it myself, but even that did horrendous. Not because it's a bad movie, simply because nobody was going. So, yeah, no risk, no reward. That's true. Happy Thanksgiving, Rob. Hope all is well and you and the family have a great day. Yeah, we've had a wonderful day. Thanks, man. My cousins were not Godzilla fans and watched King of the Monsters on a whim, and they said they didn't like it. Yeah, well, if you're not a Godzilla fan, you're probably not going to like it. Warner Brothers putting their big movies on HBO Max is a great way to push subs, which is why I feel they will do it. Yeah, I think, well, they're going to do it. They're going to do it. If they're taking offers and they rejected one already, that's their plan. That's where they're going. I think it's just a matter of when. I think it's going to be probably within the next week. I also think, like I said earlier, I think they're just trying to figure out when to release it. I would not be surprised if they decide to release this movie on HBO Max and theaters in February. I have a feeling the Snyder Cut's almost done. I have a feeling they want to go back to back to back on a 2-month gap between each movie, starting with Wonder Woman, Godzilla vs. Kong, and then Snyder Cut. That is 6 straight months where you're going to get a lot of people subscribing to HBO Max. You don't want to release them all at the same time because people will watch all of them at once and then they'll ditch the service. By spreading them out over the span of 2 months in between, maybe even 3 months in between, now you're guaranteed to hold people over. Not everybody, but a good number of subs, you're guaranteed to hold them over for at least 6, 7, 8 months. It all depends when Snyder Cut's going to come out, which I have a feeling it probably will come out around the time Godzilla vs. Kong was supposed to come out in theaters. Sometime late May, sometimes maybe sometime in June. Rob, did you see the 3C recent video? He said he believes it's because of loans Warner Brothers made for Godzilla vs. Kong are gaining way too much interest and they want to make their money back to pay the loan as quick as possible. A loan? I mean, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. I can't imagine why they would take a loan. I mean, big company like that, they usually have the money to do that. I think we might get an announcement of Godzilla vs. Kong during CCXP World, which is starting next week. Yeah, there you go.
John Joseph Gray 4 super chatted $4.99. Happy Thanksgiving, Rob. Plus, on top of the fact that they are not release it in theaters, people are financially hurting, so they is the best choice.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, Rob. Still trying to make that speech on Twitter. Just enjoying a Thanksgiving dinner with my family. I don't know what speech you're talking about. I'm not holding my breath for any Godzilla vs. Kong trailer. Even with CCXP, I've learned my lesson. You're not going to get a trailer until they make an announcement.
Newts for Kaiju tipped $1. Vaccine or not, theaters will be slow. Plus WB has to advertise a lot and then pay a lot off the top of sales to the movie houses. Movies make a lot on the general audience. But G isn't running for GVK post-COVID. Just like G19 did, GVK will do well retail.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, in terms of the trailer, we'll get a trailer after they make the announcement. I'd say probably the same day. Like, let's say if they decide Tuesday, if you hear the news break earlier in the day that Godzilla vs. Kong is going to stream on HBO Max, let's say February or March, you're going to get a trailer. I think you're going to get a trailer once they finally make a decision. The reason we haven't gotten any marketing for this movie, any news, absolutely nothing, is because up until this point, they don't know what to do with the movie. They don't know what to do. They haven't made... In fact, I'm starting to think that the delay that they made going into May was a temporary solution to buy them some time. I don't think they've known what to do with this movie for a long time. Well, since the COVID started, at least. I don't think they knew what to do. In fact, I think once they make that announcement, at least inside of a week, you'll see a trailer. Inside of a week, you'll see one. And then you'll probably see a lot of it. In fact, you guys will probably start getting tired of the trailer. Once they make that final decision, once the deal is signed, HBO Max is it's going there, and all this stuff. They have a marathon they're planning soon. Maybe they'll just maybe if you get the announcement either before the marathon or at the marathon, maybe they'll drop a trailer after that. I mean, anything's possible at this point. I think you're not going to see anything until they make an announcement.
No Goji super chatted $5. Will it be possible that GVK will get a dual release on HBO Max and in theaters in May?
Acno, Why do you even come to the stream if you don't pay attention? That's like one of the first things I said.
Heck no, so stupid. Shut the fuck up and suck on the monkey's balls.
All right. And Acno, there were about over 100 people that heard that. I just want you to know that. Yeah, Acno, it's going to be released in theaters as well. There's no reason for it not to be. A buffer fetish? Yeah, I heard a couple of people mentioning that. It looks good on my end. Says I have an excellent connection. Now, I have had some issues with the internet lately. In fact, it went down last night. So, but right now, if it's buffering, it ain't me. Because everybody's saying on Twitch everything looks good. So it's not me. It's you. With the next Fast and Furious scheduled to release a week later, the streaming service may be a good idea. Yeah, I don't even think Fast and Furious has anything to do with it. I think they're just thinking this shit, nobody's going to go to the movies, even in May. I think that's their thought process. The only thing I can tell you is try refreshing. But in terms of my readings right now, everything looks good on my end. I got green lights all over the place. So, and there are people on Twitch saying everything is fine. There's no buffering for them. Is it buffering for everybody here on YouTube, or is it just a couple of people? YouTube is washed. Yeah, see, Chris says it's fine. A says it's perfect. Reese says it's slightly buffering. Just a few, it's good. I'm fine watching you on TV right now. So, yeah, so for those that it's buffering, yeah, man, I don't know what to tell you. But again, you know, my internet can be unpredictable. Right now we're looking good, but 10 minutes from now, that could all change. So, anyway, this is a good thing. I mean, and I hope we do get it sooner. I mean, again, that's just a theory. I'm not saying we are getting the movie any sooner. It could be May again. It could be later. It could be, you know, after May. But I'm thinking about the Snyder Cut coming to HBO Max. I'm thinking about Wonder Woman coming to HBO Max in December. And for some reason, I think to myself, Godzilla is going to go in between that. It's going to go in between. So that's my guess. And to me, it makes the most sense. You know, right now, streaming service competition is stiff. You know, Netflix, Disney Plus, HBO Max, you know, Hulu, all that stuff. So what better way for HBO to retain subscriptions than by taking 3 big movies and spacing them out 2 months or 3 months in between them? So, you know, I think it'll be 3 months. So you see December, January, February, March. So March, end of March, Godzilla vs. Kong possibly. I think we'll get an announcement as soon as next week, if not shortly thereafter. I don't think it's going to be long. If they're already on the negotiating table and they already said no to Netflix, I think, and they say they want it to go to HBO Max, they're probably just negotiating a deal right now. So what if you have a theater at home, problem solved? Yeah, I guess. I mean, yeah. If you have a theater at home, then that makes sense.
Stephen Miller tipped $3.33. I emailed Playmates Toys weeks ago asking when the next wave of GVK toys to release, and they replied with spring 2021. So I expect March the earliest and May 21st the latest for the movie to release on HBO Max.
Yeah. Yeah, again, you know, we'll find, I think we'll find out before the end of the year. Is basically what it comes down to. Snyder Cut is most likely coming out next fall. How do you know that? I love how you and D-Man have the complete opposite views on the situation. You overall see it as a good thing, and D-Man sees this like the end of the world. Really? Why? Is he streaming right now? I want to hear what his take on this. Or did he do a video? If he did a video, we'll watch it real quick. I want to see what he has to say. Let me see if he did a video on this. Godzilla vs. Kong to move to HBO Max. Okay, yeah, he did it today. All right, let's watch this D-Man video. I want to see what he has to say, because I don't think it's a bad thing. I mean, it's bad in the sense that, yeah, I mean, obviously we all want to go see it in the theaters, but I think this is going to be the way for a long time, if not forever, at least until movie theaters really start to tone down their charging, because people are going to have a hard time, even after COVID's done, even after everyone's vaccinated and life goes back to normal. People are going to have a hard time going to a theater to spend $100 for 4 people to see a movie, you know, between concessions and tickets. That's a lot of money where you can just watch it at home. Even if you, like, let's say if somebody wanted to watch Mulan. Mulan was what, $30 to get it on HBO Max when they first, on Disney Plus when they first dropped it? Think about it. You go to the store, you get some Orville Redenbacher, right? $2.99 a box. You buy some candy from CVS or any pharmacy, 89 cents a box, all right? Let's say you spend $10 on candy and popcorn at the store. You spend $30 at your house on a 70-inch 4K TV to watch the movie. You just dropped $40 for your whole family to watch a movie, and you probably saved yourself about $60. I know. Some of you are going to be like, well, you can buy some of this stuff before you go to theater and hide it. I know that because that's what I do. But most people don't do that, okay? A great majority of people do not go to the store to buy candy at a cheaper price before they go to theater. And most people just don't do that. A great majority of people will spend all their money at the theater. They'll buy their tickets, they'll buy their concessions, and they go and watch the movie. Not to mention, you always have that outside chance of some asshole in the theater acting a fool or somebody bringing their 2-year-old. You know what I mean? You're in the comfort of your own home. It's quiet. You got your candy. You got your popcorn. You got a 70-inch TV with surround sound. And you got the best seat in the house. Are people going to be willing to spend another $60 or $70 to leave that comfort and go to the theater? And then especially go to the theater to see a movie on release day that's very popular, stand in line, be in a crowded theater. Trust me, a great majority of people, the theater is not that big of a deal for them. Like some of us, that movie theater experience, that's a small group of people. It's a very small group of people. All right, we're going to check out D-Man's video because I don't know what he said about this, so I want to see it. So I want to see what he has to say. So bear with me. We'll watch this. I know some of you probably saw it already, but I have not. So yeah. All right, let's check this out.
Introducing Certified Refurb.
Oh, dude, this year straight up sucks.
That's all you hear from people. This year sucks. It could be worse. It could be worse. They did find a monolith in Utah.
Back. Welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing another Godzilla vs. Kong news and updates. I've not wanted to make a Godzilla vs. Kong news and updates lately. I don't want to keep wearing this topic out, but this news warrants discussion, and so we're going to be discussing it. Unlike usual, this video is just going to be about the main topic, so let's jump into this show. Alright, starting out, I'd just like to mention that Godzilla vs. Kong is supposed to release on November 20th of this year, so 5 days ago from when I'm recording this. I have no idea when this gets posted, but 5 days ago we were all supposed to have seen the movie, and thank God we didn't. It would have died given coronavirus, even without COVID. I just wouldn't have had time to cover all this stuff leading up to this movie. I would have just not been able to cope with all that stress. Got way too much school stuff to worry about. Let's move on to the topic, okay? Yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong is facing some bad news at the moment. This is being reported to us by The Hollywood Reporter. There has yet to be a good way to release a movie. That's true. Because of COVID, there just isn't a good way. PVOD has not been successful since Trolls 2. That was like right at the start of quarantine. That's the only movie that's been successful, and that movie only had a successful opening. We don't even know that the movie itself was successful. We just know that opening day and weekend was successful. That's it. Mulan completely failed on Disney Premium Access because it was way overpriced and it was just a big mess. It seemingly didn't make back its money, and it's gone down as a failure. Tenet underperformed at the box office, proving that there is no way to release movies.
That's as loud as I can make it.
Only no way to release big blockbuster movies. Even Bill and Ted, which had a simultaneous release in
Tell
theaters
D-Man to
and
record
on
louder
streaming,
next time.
didn't really do as well as it should have, which has proven that at this point you can't release a movie on PVOD only. movie, you can't release a movie on premium access, you can't release a movie in theaters, and you don't even get that much reward when you release it both in theaters and on premium access or PVOD or whatever. There just isn't a good way to release a movie, and yet they're still doing it. Warner Bros. Is still sacrificing their films like they're Thanos trying to get the Soul Stone. I get it from a conceptual standpoint. Wonder Woman 2, okay, this is the big news. Wonder Woman 2 has been moved to HBO Max, sort of. It's having a dual release, so for 30 days when the movie very first comes out, it will have a simultaneous release on HBO Max and in theaters. The big thing here is that they're saying this is going to be the first time you don't have to pay extra to watch the movie. Well, also, there's not going to really be a ton of opportunity to make money on the film itself. They're going to need to get a huge boost of subscribers to show that people are coming to watch Wonder Woman, and then we don't know how they monetize their streaming services, so we don't know how they're going to make money on Wonder Woman itself. So I don't really understand the technical aspects of how they think this one's going to work out. I understand why they needed to do it. Wonder Woman has been delayed something like 7 times. It's an absurd amount of times it's been delayed. This movie has been delayed since like 2018 or something. It's been a long time coming that this movie comes out. So yeah, it needed to come out. It's had 2 full advertising campaigns, and
Scottish,
now it
thanks.
needs to come out. So they're gonna do this. I understand why they're doing it from a conceptual standpoint. I don't think it's gonna pay off as well as they're hoping, but I do hope it pays off for them just because I like Wonder Woman, and so I hope the movie does okay. But I think it's gonna be the best move that they could do outside of delaying a bunch of other movies. That's what I think. So if you don't want to delay, if delaying's off the table, this is the best way to go. So as I said, it's going to be a simultaneous release for 30 days, except if you don't live in America, you don't get the HBO Max option. That's only for Americans. The rest of you have to go to theaters if there are any open. Theaters here in America are closing back down, so it's a streaming movie. There's no way to watch it in theaters at the moment. But I guess internationally, if your theaters are open, you can go check it out in theaters. So it'll have a normal theatrical run outside of the 30-day HBO Max window. I don't know how much damage that 30-day window is going to do to Wonder Woman, but we'll have to wait and see. And so this has opened the door to other Warner Bros. Big blockbuster movies moving to streaming, and other big blockbuster movies in general. I think Disney's planning on doing stuff as well. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. They're definitely putting Soul on streaming, but I don't know what else is being put on streaming. We will have to wait and see what happens to Wonder Woman. Any news about Godzilla vs. Kong is irrelevant. I'm telling you right here, right now, it's irrelevant. The headline doesn't matter until we see what happens to Wonder Woman after 30 days. If the movie is successful on both streaming and theatrically, or overall, I guess if one aspect is more successful than the other, either way, if the movie's a success with its current release plan, then we can absolutely expect to see more big blockbuster movies follow in the footsteps. However, if the movie isn't successful, I guarantee Warner Bros. Does not try it again. I guarantee they don't put Godzilla vs. Kong on HBO Max if Wonder Woman fails, because Wonder Woman has way more hype than Godzilla vs. Kong. It would do better at the box office if the two were to come out just completely on their own in a vacuum. Wonder Woman would do better, and Warner Bros. Knows that. So if Wonder Woman doesn't do great here, there's no way they're going to risk Godzilla vs. Kong like that. No way. So here's the Godzilla vs. Kong headlines, and this is being reported to us by The Hollywood Reporter. Netflix apparently has moved in and offered $200 million for Godzilla vs. Kong. And so that's got a lot of people like, yeah, they should take that deal. I've seen a lot of people saying they should take the deal. They can't take the deal. I would assume Godzilla vs. Kong's budget is somewhere around $200 million. So they'd be breaking even if they take this deal. I don't think they necessarily want to break even on the movie. I will say they don't have any marketing costs right now. They've done no advertising, so it'd be like getting away for free. You know, you don't have to worry about the additional marketing costs as most movies do if you sell to Netflix. But I don't think they're going to want to go that route, because then they're just breaking even. They're not really pulling a profit, and I don't know how the studio makes money off a Netflix movie. So that's just something that I don't know. Maybe they could make more money off the Netflix release, but I think Netflix just gets to keep most of that money. I don't even know how Netflix makes money off individual releases in general. I just know it's subscription based. So that's currently the plan, right? Is Netflix pitched, hey, we'll give you $200 million, just give us the movie. And that would put Godzilla right alongside the other Netflix Godzilla movie. So he'd go right up there with the anime films and the new anime series coming out next year. So hey, he'd at least be surrounded by good company. But it doesn't really make sense when you consider the fact that there are no other MonsterVerse movies on Netflix, and Warner Bros. Definitely knows this, because they flat out rejected the offer, and instead they're prepping for an HBO Max release. So that's currently what's going on. They need to get Legendary to approve this deal, it sounds like, so they're not moving forward with it right away. They're making a plan to offer some sort of pitch to Legendary coming up here soon. But it is stated in the article that Warner Bros. Outright blocked the deal with Netflix. Netflix. Legendary declined to comment on the situation, not saying anything one way or another, but a Warner Bros. Spokesperson did come out and say something that completely goes against everything the article has said so far. Dude just straight up said, here's the quote, "We plan to release Godzilla vs. Kong theatrically next year as scheduled." There's Warner Bros. Plan.
That's
so
right,
I
I
guess
do remember
this whole
reading
HBO
that,
Max
reading that.
thing is just like a backup plan, but okay, let's take it as a backup plan and talk about that, because the idea is that they're not going to go with this, but if they do, they're obviously not going to want to take the Netflix deal because they're going to break even. They're not going to make any profit on that. Plus, they're going to want to put Godzilla vs. Kong with the other Godzilla movies and the other MonsterVerse movies. So, of course, they're going to want to keep it in-home, and they just launched their streaming service, so they're going to want to keep it on their streaming service, which isn't doing great. It needs help, and so Godzilla vs. Kong will help it. So there's a lot of factors on why they wouldn't take the Netflix deal. But okay, we'll get back to the theatrical option here at the end of the video, and instead we'll talk about the idea of moving it to HBO Max for now. Legendary, it has been reported, paid for 75% of Godzilla vs. Kong, and it is also said that Legendary is banking on the Chinese release for the film and doesn't want to do anything to interfere with that. I don't know if HBO Max would necessarily interfere with that, because HBO Max I don't think is available in China, so China would still have to be a theatrical release. But I guess the idea is if you put it on HBO Max, there's going to be increased number of piracy, and if there's more pirates out there stealing the movie, then there's going to be less people in China going to see the movie, so why would you risk that? That's why Wonder Woman, if you're wondering, opens internationally before it opens in America, so that us in the US, we don't get to see it right away. We have to wait like a week or two or something before we get it because of the
Catering
HBO
to
Max
China,
deal. They
still
don't
happening.
want all the piracy running rampant internationally, and so they're putting the movie out before they put it out in America for other countries. So I guess we could look at a similar situation happening with Godzilla vs. Kong if Wonder Woman is successful. Again, we have no way of knowing if it will be. But either way, that's the situation with Legendary. Warner Bros. Has 25% stake in Godzilla vs. Kong. However, they do control distribution, so at the end of the day, they are the ones calling the shots. I think they probably both have to agree, but it's Warner Bros. Who really is pushing things going on for distribution. Warner Bros. Is in charge of that. That's why Warner Bros. Is the ones responsible for the trailers as well. Warner is currently looking into a deal to do a dual release in both theaters and on HBO Max. So a similar situation with Wonder Woman. Now, Grimuru Island has come out and tried to put a positive spin on this news, and I do commend them for the idea, right? I commend them for the idea that they are trying to keep people calm, because of course people in the community love to panic, and so they're trying to keep people calm. I'm just telling you straight up, if Godzilla vs. Kong goes to streaming only, it will die. That's the end of the MonsterVerse. Right there. That is the moment where they signed their fate. I don't know about a theatrical release as well. I don't know how the dual release will work. Grimuru may have a point. That may be the way to go.
I think it was the end of the MonsterVerse regardless.
The best course of action, but no one will know until Wonder Woman comes out, which is why I said at the top, nothing that's happening right now really matters, because we have to wait to see how Wonder Woman does. I would like to also point out that Grace Randolph, who I've taken on, you know, I trust her at this point. I know that we've had a rocky relationship with her awful pronunciation of kaiju words and her misunderstandings of the franchise, but she knows what she's talking about when it comes to the industry, and she also has insiders out Warner's. She knows how the industry works, and so she is reliable in that aspect, and she calls this a kaiju-sized mistake, pointing out that there has been a lack of advertising for Godzilla vs. Kong, so there's ease to move the film if needed, and they've lost no additional money on it. It cost them no money to put that banner out. We do that for them. We circulate that banner for them. So they're not losing any money at the moment. They haven't lost anything yet, so they don't need to put the movie out. There's no big pressure on it. It's not like they've run out of their advertising campaigns twice like Wonder Woman did. There's no need to put the movie out. Plus, it's only been delayed twice, whereas Wonder Woman was delayed a ton. Point is, there's just no pressure to put the film out at the moment. Fans are impatient, but in the grand scheme of things, there's no pressure here. She also notes that kaiju movies are must-sees on IMAX, and I absolutely agree. IMAX was a big part of Godzilla King of the Monsters. A lot of people went to see that movie in IMAX. IMAX didn't account for the biggest part of the box office, but it did help the box office as much as
I
it
do have
could.
a counterpoint I'll make after we're done watching this.
That help from IMAX, and also for the fans, we need to see it in IMAX. Are you kidding me? I don't want to watch this on a TV. The biggest TV I own is not an IMAX screen. That's insane. The sound system's totally different. There's no way you're gonna get as thrilling or as satisfying of an experience watching this movie at home. And think about it like this, guys. We've been waiting for this movie since Godzilla 2014 came out. Since we heard rumors that Kong was gonna be getting moved to Legendary, and that Legendary and Warner Bros. Was gonna do this King Kong movie. Since 2014 or 15, we have been eagerly waiting for Godzilla vs. Kong, and now you're telling me you're okay just getting it in the lamest form possible? How is that satisfying? How is that a satisfying payoff? What was the point of this whole wait? When the movie got delayed from November till next year in May, what was the point of the wait? If they're just gonna release it online anyways for streaming, how is that satisfying for us to wait through? Then it becomes infuriating annoying that it got delayed, because if they're just going to put it out on streaming, they might as well have done that from the start.
I
Either
do
way, the
agree
point
with
is
that.
that we don't really know how a dual release will work, how a theatrical plus HBO Max release will work. We have no way of knowing how that will work until after Christmas, so we have to wait until Wonder Woman comes out. And when that does happen, we can see if this is a financially viable way to release a movie, if it is a financially viable way to release a big blockbuster, and then we can move forward from there. But at the end of the day, Warner Bros. Still plans on releasing the movie theatrically, period. That's what they said in the interview, so that's what we're looking at, is a theatrical release for the movie. At the very least, they will have a theatrical component, so people like me and you can go see it in theaters if we want, and the rest of the people who are too impatient, or if the virus is still around next year, who are just being smart and don't want to get sick, then they can stay at home. But the movie is 6 months out, and there is word of multiple vaccines that are being said to be efficient, that are in the works, so the potential for Godzilla vs. Kong to come out in a post-COVID world is very high. Maybe the coronavirus won't be gone, right? But at the very least, a vaccine will be, hopefully, if you're willing to believe, politicians available. I don't know. I think the world will look a little
It's
different
not politicians
6 months from now than
making
it
the
does right
vaccine,
now. At least that's
D-man.
the hope, right? Please. But
Oh, people
I'm
with that
hopeful
theory
that
is
the world will look
ridiculous.
different and will look better come May 2021. And so I'm hopeful that the movie will come out in May 2021 in theaters just fine. With all that being said, I'm going to leave you with this little bit of information, because I do think that this news sucks, but I don't think it's as horrible as people make it, and there's also some silver lining. So the silver lining here is that if Godzilla vs. Kong is being considered for HBO Max, and it sounds like they're sticking to their guns with this May 21st release date, so we are either getting it in theaters on that day, or we're getting a dual release, or it'll just go on, you know, PVOD or whatever, or HBO Max. If that happens, that means that advertising should start next month. That's right. It's entirely possible that we will get a Godzilla vs. Kong trailer next month, given the fact that if the movie comes out in May, regardless of how it comes out, if they're sticking to their guns here with the May release date, we're gonna need advertising soon. It's typically a 6-month, 5-month advertising period, which means May might be the date. That's right, baby. The Godzilla vs. Kong trailer that we have all been waiting for might be just around the corner, finally. Thank you guys all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man, out. What? You never watched my 66 years of Godzilla tribute? You know it's
What the fuck is
posted,
this?
right? I'm not supposed to give my opinion, but go check it out. And then you can tell me if you like it or not.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, he's upset because he wants to see it in the theater, which, again, you know, and I'm not, this is not me trying to shit on him or anybody his age. It changes when you get older. I would love to see it in the theater, but if I could save myself $60 and watch it at home, I'd be more than happy. So, but all right. So I think the issue now, first of all, he has a lot more faith in Grace than I do. So, I mean, I've had my run-ins with Grace in the past and my opinions about her. I don't think she's nearly as reliable as he thinks she is. But all right, let's say she's right. I think the other thing Warner Brothers is thinking about is, yes, while they haven't lost anything, a company does not want to sit on assets. You don't want to sit on assets, right? Yes, they haven't began marketing, but a good amount of people know that this movie's coming at some point. Mostly the hardcore fans. Now, I do firmly believe that no matter what, no matter how much the fans complain, no matter how much they say they're not going to see this movie, they don't care anymore, when it finally drops, they will go and see it. With that said, if I'm thinking as a business person, and my last MonsterVerse movie, which was the follow-up to a very successful Godzilla movie and a very successful Kong movie, my business mind is telling me maybe we waited too long to release that sequel. It seems like some people forgot. You don't want to sit on assets. You can, all right, now you can make the argument, well, you know, James Cameron's Avatar 2 is like 10, 15 years later or whatever. But that's James Cameron, okay? He's a household name. And I don't think he's made anything that's really been bad. I I think the Warner Brothers people are thinking to themselves, if we wait too long to release this movie, then some of those fans that drive it, meaning us, some of the fans that drive this movie may not even show up. Now, I don't agree with that, but again, I'm trying to put myself in the shoes of an executive who doesn't stream Godzilla content or talk about Godzilla or whatever, or, you know, communicates with people in the Godzilla community. Now, I do remember when he said it in the video, I did remember that the article did say that they are still planning on releasing it in theaters as scheduled. But, I mean, the counter argument to that is, why would they say otherwise? There's been no deal made. Now, I do agree with him that maybe they will wait to see how Wonder Woman does. You know? But there's also a chance that they might just decide, you know what? Because like I said, you don't want to sit on assets. Even if they had taken the $200 million from Netflix, and even he said it, they haven't spent any money on advertising, right? They lost money with the last movie. If you lost money with the last movie and you break even with the next movie, you've improved. I think their fear is lost at this point. I don't think a whole lot of movie companies are making a lot of profit right now. Let's be honest. I think a lot of movie companies are accepting the fact that we're not going to make money. Let's just not lose money. Now, do you technically lose anything if you sit on this movie? If you push it back again, do you technically lose anything? The question is, you really don't know, right? I mean, the longer you wait to release this movie, what are the chances that, I mean, let's say they decide, all right, we're going to keep it in theaters, we're going to push it back again. I mean, Wonder Woman, yes, has been delayed more than Godzilla vs. Kong, but he even said Wonder Woman's a household name. You drop Wonder Woman 2 years from now, people are probably going to go see it. You drop Godzilla vs. Kong 2 years from now, I mean, yeah, you'll get the hardcore fans, but the general audience is going to be like, what? Rob, Jurassic World came 15 years after Jurassic Park 3 and still made money. Listen to the movie you just used. I want you to repeat that sentence and correct yourself on your opinion. Listen to what you just said. Listen very carefully to the movie you just used as an example. But Jurassic Park 2 is still not as good as Jurassic Park. Okay, that's all fine and well. Listen to what you just said. Jurassic Park World came 15 years later after Jurassic Park 3 and still made money. Godzilla 2019 came 5 years after Godzilla 2014 and lost money. So how well do you think Godzilla vs. Kong would do if it came out, I don't know, another 5 years later? Yeah, thank you. See, he typed in Twitch. He said, damn, I screwed up. Yeah, you did. Yeah, bad job. Bad job, okay? Very bad job. And I'm going to have to bring this one back real quick.
Kaiju, kaiju, kaiju,
Wrong one.
kaiju. Kaiju, 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 kaiju.
Idiot, kaiju, so stupid, stick your pipes up your ass.
You deserved it. You deserved it. You asked for that one. Yeah. I don't, look, my overall feeling on this is I don't care either way. I don't care. I really don't care whether it comes out on streaming service or it comes out in the theaters. I'm still going to go see it one way or the other. And I honestly, I really do think this is the end of the MonsterVerse regardless. I don't think it really matters whether it makes a ton of money or not. I don't see how you appeal to the general audience after putting two iconic cinema monsters on the screen battling out. Like, how many people, all right, how many people you think are going to go run to see Godzilla versus Destroyer? Outside of the kaiju community, mind you, how many people you think are gonna go run to see Godzilla versus Destroyer? We would be excited. Yeah, Monsterverse. Yeah, we want to see what they do with Destroyer. How many? Figment says 5 people. Chris said no one. Chris said 9. Severio millions. Yeah, you try to keep convincing yourself. People don't understand when a movie is delayed, studios accrue interest builds. You can't just keep postponing a film. Yeah, there are costs to keeping a movie delayed. That's a funny question, Rob. Yeah, I don't movie where you get canceled before it would be released. The rights go back to Toho after Kong versus Godzilla. Is that true? I don't know if that's true or not, but it's possible. It's possible it does. You might be right. I don't know. I haven't seen any of that. I haven't seen anything that says that, but remember when Assassins said 500 million people saw G14? Did he actually say that? More than Birds of Prey and Ghostbusters 2016. I wouldn't even say that, Julio, to be honest. You guys, look. I love this guy, okay? Nobody can see it with the chat screen up. I love my dude right here. I do. Okay? Always and forever. And I got another one coming, the 2019 one at some point. But listen, we have to be realistic. Generally, and I've said this before, I know people hate when I say this, but I'm just trying to be honest. It doesn't mean that I'm shitting on any of the fans. I'm not shitting on my own fandom for the kaiju genre. But generally, okay, and embrace yourself here. Generally, nobody gives a shit about kaijus. That's just it. No one gives a shit. They don't care. They'll go see a Godzilla movie. They may even love it. They'll forget about it like a fart in the wind within a month. You know, it's just, you know, yeah, it has more meaning for us. I get it. But for the general audience, they just want to see monster action, and then that's it. Then they leave. Oh, this is great. I'll see another Godzilla movie 10 years from now. You know, that's just the truth, man. I know, Rob, you said it like 69 million times. We get it. I know, but you have to understand, I wouldn't have to say it if people wouldn't keep over selling the kaiju genre. You don't got to sell it to me. You don't got to sell it to yourself. Believe it or not, unfortunately, more people would go see Ghostbusters 2016 and Birds of Prey than would go back to see a kaiju movie. It's sad. I know. Hey, I'm with you. But that's just the truth. Nobody would see Godzilla vs. Destroyer. No, only the fans. And my father just said he'd go see it. So there you go. Imagine a general audience watching Godzilla vs. Ghidorah. No, I can't, actually. I can't imagine that. Rob, do you think they should do a TV show after Godzilla vs. Kong? I would like them to. It would be nice if they did like a Monarch series. That would be great. Like every, maybe, a couple episodes or a couple of seasons, they're hunting for a new kaiju they didn't discover.
John Joseph Gray 4 super chatted $4.99. I heard someone say that the general public will go see Godzilla vs. Gamera, and I was like, why bother? Some fans don't listen.
Yeah, I know. I've had the Gamera argument before too. And again, and it hurts me to say that stuff. It does, because I'm a big fan. I know the truth. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, the Gamera argument. The first thing I tell people is, if you think people are going to run to theaters to see a giant turtle with rockets coming out of his ass, you got another thing coming. And I love turtles. My father's laughing in the background. He's cracking up. He likes when I drop truth bombs on you guys. He always laughs. But wouldn't the general audience like to see Godzilla or Kong fight a kaiju that they never heard of before? Yeah, that's why you're getting Mechagodzilla. That's why you're getting Mechagodzilla in the movie. And if you think people are not going to, if you think some people in the general audience, look, there's going to be some people in the general audience, they're going to love it, they'll eat it up, they'll have fun with it. But if you think for 1 minute, there's not going to be a certain number of people laughing the minute they see a giant robot Godzilla, I'm telling you, they're going to crack their asses up. I said before, I don't think Mechagodzilla would ever work in the MonsterVerse, but I personally would love to see it because he's one of my favorite villains of Godzilla growing up. But I already know what people are going to say. Why would they build a giant robot in the shape of Godzilla? Like, why would they do that? The general audience rather watch Pornhub instead of of Gamera. Well, I think many people would prefer watching Pornhub. So I don't think that's just the general audience. To mock Godzilla, of course, probably to kill Godzilla. Godzilla is coming. You see, but you guys are making kaiju sense. Like, all your reasoning for why a Mechagodzilla would be built is based on being a kaiju fan and watching a Mechagodzilla in the past and him having iterations where he's alien built, him having iterations where he is human built. But the general audience is not going to think that way. And you got to remember, general audience brings in the money. They bring in the money. This is why I'm telling you, I really think that this was the end of the MonsterVerse regardless.
You didn't see that coming?
I see. I'm spraying atomic breath on all of y'all right now. Thank you for the big dono, Aldefonica. Why is this doubled up? I don't understand why my alerts are going crazy lately. What is with that? Okay, let's keep this one here. Okay. Thank you for the 20 dono, Aldefonica. I appreciate that. Rob, as much as I dislike what you say, but you speak the truth. Yeah, I don't like to say it. I don't, because I know it pisses people off, you know, and it's one of the reasons why why my channel's slow growing, because Godzilla fans love to hear Godzilla positivity. They don't like to hear anything other than that. But I don't, you know, I'm being honest. And look, I've been wrong, but I've been right quite a bit. And I've been quite right about this movie in the last year. Even the delays. People were shitting on me because I said the movie's going to be delayed. Within a week of that video, the movie got delayed. I don't do it to piss people off. You know, the people who do come to my channel, who do like to watch my content, they like it because they know I'm going to be honest. I'm going to give my honest opinion, and I'm going to give my best assessment to my knowledge. That doesn't mean that every time I give that it's going to be stuff you want to hear.
John Joseph Gray 4 super chatted $4.99. Real Americans are a bit hypocritical. They believe in zombies but not kaiju movies.
All right, and I get what you're saying there, but here's the problem. Yes, America loves zombies. America loves Rocket Raccoon and Groot. I hear the Groot argument all the time. Here's the difference.
Big Bad Wolf super chatted $2. Reality is often disappointing.
Very good quote. Here's the difference. You make Groot, you make Rocket, they talk, they're humanoidish. You know what I mean? Zombies are humanoid monsters. There's a certain level of interaction there. Kaiju, and this is what also makes them special movies. When you make a kaiju movie, when you make a giant monster, it's hard. It's very difficult to make a connection with the monster and the people. The reason a movie like Godzilla 1954 was so successful is because Godzilla represented a real life horrific attack. It was a way for the Japanese to cope. It was a way for them to communicate how they felt about that without breaking any rules that the United States put in place saying that they cannot do any kind of information or propaganda regarding the dropping of the bomb. That connection is lost when you have Godzilla drop kicking a mutant roach. That's why some of the best kaiju movies are, in fact, highly regarded by many critics, even if they're not huge blockbuster movies. They're highly regarded because people understand the difficulty of making a successful kaiju movie because of the fact that there's really no intimacy between the characters in the movie and the star monster of the movie. So that's why a lot of monster movies fall into the trap of being a monster romp. The monsters don't talk. They don't sit down and have a conversation with the human. It's hard to develop the character of a monster. This is why I give a lot of praise, and people get upset with me when I do this because they think you like the American monsters better than Japanese monsters. It's not that I like them any better. What I appreciate about the American monster movies, the iteration of Godzilla, is that with the CGI, you can do more with the monsters to give them some sort of characterization. They have facial reactions. They have emotion. I'll give you a good example. Remember in Godzilla 2019, he's fighting Ghidorah in the city, in Boston, right? And he's standing over Ghidorah. He's about to take him out.
Stephen Miller tipped $1. The reality is knowing Clifford can beat Godzilla vs. Kong because Westerners are more attracted to dogs than kaiju.
It's not that. It's a kid. Come on. You guys are being nitpicky about shit. But I'm assuming you're joking with that comment, Steve. So anyway, in that scene, Godzilla's standing above him. He's about to, finish him off. And you remember, Ghidorah turned to the power surge and he bit it to charge up. Do you remember Godzilla's reaction when Godzilla was in? And then he went. That is characterization. That brings you a little bit closer to the monster because you knew what Godzilla was thinking at that moment. You knew how he felt. A lot of the older Toho movies, and even more of the recent ones, you don't get that because the animatronics were limited or they decided to make them limited. You couldn't get that kind of reaction. How about in the scene where he first engages with Ghidorah in was it Antarctica? I don't remember now. Anyway, when he comes out of the ice and they pan up Godzilla and then they show his face and he kind of squints and looks at Ghidorah. And every time I see that scene, I think to myself, he is saying, you again, what are you doing here? Those are the things. This is why 2014 Godzilla was very successful. There was certain elements in the movie where you could tell what Godzilla was thinking. You could see a characterization built there. Good example in 2014, after he kills the male Muto, he hunches over and he's breathing heavy, and then he looks that is characterization. You can tell he's tired, he's worn. And just as he's ready to take another deep breath, he looks up and there's a building that collapses on him. Then in that very same sequence, he's lying there, he's beat up, and he sees Ford and he's looking at Ford. And a lot of people have different interpretation of what that look was that he gave Ford. And they have that in their own interpretation because it is development of a character that's a kaiju. That is the key. Now, does that always work? No, because obviously in Godzilla 2019, that wasn't the focus. But there are certain elements that if you pay attention to the monsters and what they're doing and their facial expressions, you get a lot more appreciation out of the movie than you normally would if you're just watching all the craziness. That's, I think, one of the mistakes that Mike Doherty made. I think Gareth Edwards had better timing for that sort of thing. In other words, he picked some of the best moments to do that characterization with the kaiju. So the older Japanese, and this is not to say that the older Japanese movies didn't care about that. They did. but it's hard to do it in a prosthetic that's already built and set in stone. You know, I think this is one of the reasons why I love Godzilla 84 so much. As derpy as that face is, there are certain aspects in the movie where they did the animatronic in the face and you could see subtle changes in his reaction. You know what I mean? Facial expressions, I mean. That is one of the things that I think, in my opinion, is the most important thing to do if you want to make a successful kaiju film. You have to characterize the monster because the monster cannot communicate verbally. The monster is way too big to be intimate with humans. So you have to show his purpose in his actions and his expressions. And most kaiju movies do not do that. I think this is why people love Kong so much. Kong is more closer to, obviously, to a humanoid, and he's a lot smaller than Godzilla was. Think about how well Peter Jackson's Kong movie was. How well it did, I should say. Because Kong was a lot smaller, because of more modern technology, he was able to have more expressions. Come on, one of the best scenes is when she's dancing and he's laughing at her and he's pushing her, and every time he pushes her, oh, 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 oh. That's one of the best scenes, but we can appreciate and laugh at that scene because we see the monster's emotion. We see his reaction. We see his characterization. At that very moment in that movie, you realize he's not just a giant crazy ape trying to kill people. So that's my argument. Yeah, everybody knows Andy Serkis did that scene Unknown. I know you're like, 18 years old? So, but most of us were adults when we saw that. So, I thought Godzilla's facial expression in 2014 when the male Muto before the tail swiped, it was pretty good. It was like Godzilla was saying, "I'm sick of this motherfucker. Come here." Or he was kind of thinking to himself, "Come on, motherfucker. I got your number. Just come on. And then he whips the tail. That's what I'm talking about. You knew. At least you had an idea of what he was thinking. Sorry, I forgot to lower the alerts.
Big Bad Wolf super chatted $5. Some of the only Godzilla movies that did a good job on expressions was, one example is GMK. There are times when Godzilla frowns, even squints.
Yeah, GMK is a good example. That's why a lot of people love that movie. Because they connected a little bit more with him. They knew he was evil. So yeah, GMK is a good example of that. That's why it's one of the best Godzilla movies. A lot of people highly regard that movie. Rob, I'm sure YouTube already, I'm sure you've already talked about it, but do you think the Monsterverse will survive with a straight-to-stream deal? I don't think the Monsterverse is going to survive regardless. Not because money-wise. I just think this is the end game. I think Godzilla versus Kong is it. You don't get any better than this for a movie that relies on the general audience to make your money. People know King Kong. People know Godzilla. So yeah, and we did briefly speak about this earlier. So what I was saying to chat was that even though we would all run to see a Destroy All Monsters type of movie, or a Godzilla versus Destroyer, or Godzilla versus Mothra, the Mothra turns heel, some shit like that, nobody else will. Nobody else out of the kaiju community will see that because nobody knows Destroyer. Yeah, everybody loves Mothra, but general audiences tend to brain dump kaiju movies after they've seen them. Everyone, look, I think it's safe to say everyone, kaiju fan or not, loves a good monster romp. But it's the kaiju community that keeps the monster romp in here. And certain people love monster movies. We here love monster movies. My son loves monster movies. My father likes monster movies. You grew up watching all these movies. But for the most part, general audiences don't give a shit. They'll run to the movie, they'll grab their popcorn. Oh my God, look at that big monster, the building and the fighting. And then a week later, They're ready to go see another Marvel movie. and that's just the truth, man. That's just the truth. It doesn't mean that these movies suck. They don't. They generally entertain people. People generally do love them. But like everything else, has a fandom. It's just that the kaiju fandom is very niche. It's nowhere near as big as Marvel. It's nowhere near as big as Star Wars, and it never will be. Not until you find someone that can master making a monster movie where the general audience can connect with the monster. When you do that, and if you can do that consistently, then you'll start having the same kind of fandom on the scale of Marvel and Star Wars. The problem is that it's very difficult to do that. You have to be very talented to do something like that, to make a monster that connects with the audience and has some sort of relationship with the characters. I think this is why monster movies where the monsters are not as big tend to be more successful. Look at The Shape of Water. That was a monster, right? I mean, I didn't see the movie, but a lot of people praised that movie. That was a monster, you know, but it's smaller. It was able to connect with the character. It was able to somehow communicate. You were able to see its expressions, and it worked, and it ended up winning an Oscar. So it doesn't mean that monsters in general don't have a chance to be successful. Kaiju movies are very difficult. These monsters are like 300 feet tall. You know, 200 feet tall. I mean, it's insane. How do you know what I mean? Can we talk about how 120 people are in here? You notice I'm the only one not surprised by that? You guys are all shocked. It's a Godzilla stream. You guys know when I do a Godzilla stream, most people come out for that. I agree. Think of things like How to Train Your Dragon, small monsters, and kiddish. Yeah, well, kiddish, maybe for you, Kosner.
Kosner, idiot, dumbass. Instead of choking girlfriend, choked yourself.
All giant monster movies are a hard sell. Yeah, they are. You're exactly right. They are a hard sell. Look, one day someone will step up and will successfully do a monster movie that all people will love. And that person will have to build a monster that will be able to connect with the audience and the people involved in the movie. You look at a movie like Cloverfield, and they kind of use a little pre-movie exposition to get you in the mindset of what this monster is going through. Remember, one of the ways they described it was like, what was it, like a baby that's lost and scared. So that's why the monster was reacting the way it was, smashing shit, going crazy. Russo Bros directing, that would be damn. Now that's a dream. I think there's a lot of directors. Honestly, in my opinion, I think there are a hell of a lot of directors that would love to get their hands on Godzilla. The problem is they know it's a challenge. And they know that you're either going to hit a home run or you're not. But the thing of it is that most don't hit a home run, not because they don't try, not because they're not talented. It is tough as hell. It is the kaiju genre. To do a successful movie in the kaiju genre is one of the most difficult things I think in cinema that you could ever do. That's one of the reasons why I love the genre so much. I would love to see a director come out and take the challenge and try to make an Oscar-worthy monster movie. I do think you could have a monster. I mean, like I said, I already made an argument. We already did. But in terms of kaiju, man, I mean, Steven Spielberg in the past has loosely expressed desire to do a monster movie. He was alluding to Godzilla, but he never said it by word, I don't think. Even J.J. Abrams. I'm sure if J.J. Abrams wanted to get his hands on Godzilla, he could. But think about it, a lot of these directors, man, they won't touch it because they know it's tough. And a lot of the directors we've gotten have been directors trying to prove themselves. This is why Gareth Edwards got Star Wars. Gareth Edwards got Star Wars because he made Godzilla mainstream, which nobody in Hollywood thought was possible. Think about it. All the directors out there who would jump at the opportunity to do a Star Wars movie and you give it to Gareth Edwards. I mean, it's not hard to figure out why when you really sit down and think about it. The guy made a damn good Godzilla movie. Rob, imagine Michael Bay directing Godzilla films. I wouldn't be against it. I mean, definitely wouldn't be the kind of movie I'm talking about, but it would definitely be action-packed and fun to watch. There's no doubt about that. I think Christopher Nolan could do a good job. I think Christopher Nolan, there's a small handful of directors I think could do a successful Godzilla film that would be highly regarded. I think Christopher Nolan's one of them. I do think James Cameron could do it, but he's all sucked into Avatar in 8K right now. Yeah, Roland Emmerich. Yeah, no. Roland Emmerich, he just likes to make big blockbuster, what they call that, disaster films, which I'm a sucker for. I love disaster movies. Quentin Tarantino, yeah, I think a Godzilla movie by him would be exactly what I want, which is an R-rated, violent Godzilla movie, a movie where Godzilla's actually killing people like he should be. You know, not the kind of Godzilla movies we see buildings fall but nobody's falling out of them, or that a giant monster is rummaging through the city without trying to eat people. We just need the right director to be able to take up the challenge, a director to come out and make a great heck of an expression-able movie with the monster actually showing more characterization. Yeah. James Wan directing Godzilla would be something. I think a lot of good directors could probably do it, but I really do think it's a super challenge that many of them, it's not that they don't want to take it on. Obviously they would. I just think it's that tough. It's like you really got to sit down and brainstorm. You really got to map out how you're going to do this movie. You need to have such a cohesion with your writers. And let's face it, how much cohesion do we see in Hollywood these days between the writers and the producers and directors? Not a whole lot. Why do you think Kevin Feige runs the show in Marvel? It's his way or the highway. You do it like this. You have some autonomy, but otherwise he has everything mapped out. You got to go by his blueprint. That's why that other guy left the Doctor Strange film. He wanted to make somewhat of a horror film, Doctor Strange, and Feige was like, yeah, no, that's not on my blueprint. Imagine a Tarantino Godzilla movie where Sam Jackson yells motherfucker as Godzilla steps on him $1 billion at the box office. I would pay money to see that. Like he's rummaging around and he turns around and says, motherfucker. That would be epic to see. That's kind of like, remember, what was that movie? It wasn't Deep Rising. It was maybe just called Deep with the sharks. I remember that. In fact, I watched it for the first time with my pop, and we were laughing because Samuel L. Jackson was giving that whole big speech. It was the epic hero moment, right? It's that moment in the film where that one main character motivates everyone in the party to get together and push through adversity. And in the middle of his speech, he gets snatched up by the shark and eaten. Deep Blue Sea, thank you. I was dying. I remember me and my father cracking up when we saw that. It was so unexpected. It was hilarious. Yeah, Deep Blue Sea. Oh, that movie was terrible, but that scene was funny. That scene was great. I just want a movie where Godzilla destroys the world. Why not? What if Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson starred in a Godzilla movie? Well, you'd probably add like another 100 to 150 million at the box office. Rob, what if we got someone like Kevin Feige for the Monsterverse? Do you think it would work? He would Marvelize it. It'd be PG-13. There'd be... I don't know. I don't know if Kevin Feige would fit for a monster movie. At least not the kind of monster movie I think we would want. I think it would be entertaining, though. I'm not saying it would be bad. Some of these studios heads and higher up need to have a better understanding of kaiju films and not just monsters fighting. Damn them. Yeah, but you gotta remember the kaiju genre was born in Japan. The best kaiju movies are from Japan. You know, despite how much I love Godzilla 2014 and even to some extent Godzilla 2019, Godzilla 1954 is still the number one overall, and Godzilla 1984, Godzilla Returns, is number 2 in my book. But unfortunately, a good majority of the Godzilla movies are just cheesy fun. I mean, come on, you know, Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. You got Godzilla, Mothra, and Rodan arguing and cursing each other out, being translated by the Mothra twins. I mean, imagine doing that in an American Godzilla movie. The general audience would fucking roll on their asses. Someone that has a blueprint for the movies. I do think I do think maybe one criticism I would give the American production companies, because despite the credits, they really don't do anything. I really do think they should have let some of the Toho studio heads get involved, like, you know, past directors. I think that might have, you know, instead of consulting with them, actually let them work on a project. Yeah, I've seen Godzilla Raids again. Yeah, oh, Godzilla with terrible language. Yeah, that's horrible. I mean, it's great. You know, you look back and I watched that and I still laugh, but, you know, Rob, I think Godzilla should have turned on humanity after he got revived in King of the Monsters. Like, there's no way Godzilla would let this slide.
Good night.
Yeah, stay down. Hi, sweetie.
Boy.
Time for bed?
Yeah.
All right. Love you.
Nighty
Night. I felt that there would be a chance he would turn bad in Godzilla vs. Kong. But that was only a theory based on what, God, I forget her name, from King of the Monsters, or at the end she said, where the guy was like, I'm glad he's on our side. And then she was like, for now. I was like, ooh. I was like, is that a bit of foreshadowing or? Vaping on a, see if I can remember the name of this one because it's not on the actual thing. Vaporesso. It's like up to 100 watts. Only I have it only on 35. That's all I need. Yeah, Dr. Chen. Thanks, Steve. I like to see radiation element as a plot point causing cancer to people. Yeah, that's a good idea. A lot of people have mentioned that before. Using his radiation as a story plot that affects. Didn't they do something similar to that with Shin Gojira, but not. They didn't really carry it very far. Rob, I have an idea for a kaiju movie. Do I have to hear it or read it in this case? Go ahead. Let's hear it, kaiju. Rob, do you feel Godzilla hums? What? Rob, do you feel a Godzilla / hums connection? I have no idea what the hell you're talking about, Cosmo. What are you smoking? What are you talking about, hums? I think Godzilla should have been a villain in the first MonsterVerse film going through King of the Monsters as well. Yeah, in the MonsterVerse, the radiation does heal the world. Yeah, it's kaiju radiation. Rob, G14 versus Godzilla King of the Monsters. What are your thoughts on the vastly different tones? Well, one is more... I think Godzilla 2014 is an entertainment movie where they keep certain elements of... They obviously keep elements of his history, but I don't think it compares narratively to 54. The story in wait, I'm sorry. Did you say King of the Monsters? Or did you say 2014? Hold on. I got to go back up and read that again now. I think I misread that. No. You said Godzilla King of the Monsters. Okay, and G14. Okay, I thought you said 54. I thought the tone in G14 was better. And And they are vastly different. Although G14's tone, I think the trailers sold us a different movie than what we got. And I'm not disappointed with the result, but I had darker expectations than what we got. Where he has close relations with the humans, watch 98 animated series. Okay. We need a hot chick in one of these movies. What the fuck? Does the scene with where Mark Russell and Godzilla, after being revived, count as a connected? Yeah, I think so. More for Russell's character because he obviously hated Godzilla for what happened with his son. I think at that point he realized just how important Godzilla is to the world. Because then after that, he was all gung-ho about helping him. So, Rob, what did you not like about King of the Monsters? I got a kick out of it. Well, I didn't dislike the movie. I didn't dislike the movie at all. I mean, it was slightly better story than 2014. I thought the comedy was, yeah, they dropped the ball there. I mean, yeah, there's some funny moments, but for the most part, a lot of the comedic tones fell short. The timing was bad. The jokes were stupid. You know what I mean? You like the comedy in the movie? Shit. Well, you're the first I heard say that. Rob, my idea for a kaiju movie, I wouldn't advertise it as a kaiju movie. I would advertise it as a natural disaster movie that doesn't show the kaiju or even mention them. That's the plot twist in the movie where the kaiju are the source of the natural disasters that the marketing never mentioned. So you're not telling me a kaiju story idea. You're telling me like a fucking trailer.
Idiot, kaiju, so stupid. Stick your pipes up your ass.
You just told me like your fantasy for a trailer. Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we'll talk more next week about this. I know, look, I'm glad a lot of people came out. It's Thanksgiving and, we had almost 140 people here. So that's awesome. I know you guys miss me doing a lot of Godzilla content, but understand that it's been dry. It's been hard to talk about Godzilla without anything really to talk about. But we'll continue to monitor this going into next week. We will be back here tomorrow night at 8:00. We're gonna have Fat Samurai Guy here. Let's see how he did against the core. Watching the core, I should say. And then Saturday will be my birthday stream, so that should be a lot of fun. I'm supposed to be doing tarot readings if I can find my cards, so cross your fingers, because that should be a lot of fun. April, what I got from Dubbing Studio, I will let you know more. All right, Ninette, sounds cool. Godzilla fans gone wild video. That always makes me lose subscribers. All right, guys, listen. Have a rest of a good Thanksgiving. Hopefully, see some of you guys back here tomorrow. We'll be with Fat Samurai Guy talking about how he feels about the core and whether or not he thinks it's really bad. And then we'll be here Saturday, and then we'll take Monday off, and we'll be back here on Tuesday. And we'll do another Godzilla stream next week. So we'll talk some more. Hopefully we'll find out more about what's going on. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful night, and I'll see some of you guys tomorrow. And for those that came out, I appreciate it. It's nice to see that there's still a lot of people here on the channel, despite the fact that the Godzilla videos have been short. So, all right, guys, have a good night. Take it easy. Take care of each other. Take care of yourselves. And I'll see you guys soon.
Every passing day, the winds might grow stronger. Joy to light the way to keep the reminder. Every passing day, the winds might grow together.